What's the deal? What's the deal? Politikan podcast, man. We back again. You like my radio voice? I'm a smooth operator. Nah, I'm just playing around, man. But here we are, Rigor Studios, downtown San Bernardino. So what's the deal, man? I don't even like these headphones. I'm gonna take them. But man, let's get an introduction, man. Tell the people who you are.
What's up? This is Aries Kae,
So, what are you, a songwriter, rapper?
singer, songwriter, and rapper.
So, how long have you been doing music?
I have been doing music for a very long time now. So, I started writing and singing when I was a kid. And then in high school, kind of started like doing more with it. So I started kind of like trying to perform places just around like town when I was in San Diego. And then I ended up doing a demo when I was like 17 or 18. And then I went to school at the Musicians Institute, which is in LA. So that's where Anderson .Paak went to school, and like I missed him by like a couple years.
Yeah, my cousin went there.
Oh, for sure. Okay, cool. It was a cool experience. So like it was good because where I'm from, there wasn't necessarily like a lot of people doing music, so I needed to get into that environment where there was people that I could connect with that were doing that in like a bigger level.
So what was your major?
So I did vocal performance when I was there. Yeah. And then I did some projects there. And then some family stuff had me move back to San Diego. And I moved out to the IE, I want to say 2014. And then it had been a little while since I had kind of done anything. Mm-hmm. I sort of hadn't worked on any of my own stuff. Like, been kind of maybe singing backgrounds for people or doing some things here or there, but not my own writing. So then when I came here, I kind of started getting back into that and started getting, introduced to the community out here. And that kind of got the ball rolling for me again. So now I'm back at it.
So what projects do you have out right now?
So right now I have 2 songs that I dropped on SoundCloud. And then those are 2 singles. And then the latest single is on, all platforms. That's Monsoon Season. So that came out October.
A lot of artists aren't going the SoundCloud route anymore. They're looking at it as a deterrent. Mm-hmm. Now that you can get on these other sites through DistroKid and distribution like that, everybody's looking at SoundCloud as like trash, and I don't like the way that people are shitting on SoundCloud because there's a lot of consumers on that in that market.
Definitely. That
you could tend to, and get your name out there. That I just advise all artists to still get on SoundCloud. That's where you started. So why would you leave it?
Right.
All the artists I know started on SoundCloud. So why would you leave that platform? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I think that the thing that's cool about SoundCloud, I mean, it is so easy now to get your music on streaming. Like, it's so easy to get on Spotify. You have to pay, I think it's, like $45 a year if you're, you have like that package that's like the best one. And then you can get on there. And like, but I think that SoundCloud is cool because there's no filter to it. Like, a lot of people can be on there doing a lot of different things. And you could look at it as a place where people kind of put out things that are a little more rough, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, we're getting to see artists from their very beginnings. And so I think that's cool. And I agree with you. There's no reason to kind of like abandon it. You can always put your music out there. You can always build with that community. And I don't know, like, I never use SoundCloud that much, but I know that it's kind of also like a social networking, right? So you're able to kind of like
message,
right? Comment on people's stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah,
that's very cool. Like, what other platforms do we have where you can like at minute 1:15 be like, hey, like this is a vibe, or like, oh, I like this right here.
I think it's because they were free when they started off, and then they started to charge and cap you.
Okay.
And everybody loves it when it's free, but in the moment that they have to pay or give back, that's when people tend to like shit on you or leave
Yeah,
you.
very true. That's true.
Sad that people do business like that, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's absolutely true. It's one of those things. I kind of think like, I think when you said that, it made me think about Wikipedia. Because you know how like every year around this time, Wikipedia will solicit donations?
Yeah.
But the way that they say it, it kind of makes you want to donate to them. Like, they're like, hey, look, this is like an information sharing source. Like, we do our best to moderate it, and we try to make sure that these things that we're putting out here are factual, but this takes, you know, a staff of people. And so can you please help? It's the holidays. Like, can you give? I wonder how that works for them. Because if
so
you,
it's the campaign. It's the way to do it.
Yeah.
It was no like newsletter or any announcement or nothing. It was just out of nowhere. You wake up and they're charging you.
Yeah.
It was abrupt. I think that was a bad business move. On SoundCloud.
Yeah.
That left the door open for Spotify to swoop in and kind of like steal their headway.
Yeah.
Because Spotify is the new wave.
Yeah.
That's where you see this new thing on Instagram of all the artists posting their stream numbers.
Yep.
What is
Everybody's been. It's weird, actually. Yeah. All of us. I don't remember that from last year.
So is that a new feature? Have you seen that, or are you on Spotify?
Yeah, I am.
Did you receive that? Did they just send that to you?
Yes. I mean, I'm new on Spotify now with the stuff that I'm putting out now. So, like, I don't have that many streams. So I wasn't going to go out there and brag with, you know, I just dropped this single a couple months ago. But, like, I think it's that Spotify for artists. So when you have the app Spotify for artists, they'll give you all your analytics. So they'll tell you how many streams, in what countries, and where, which is a very cool feature. It's very, very cool because you can gear, let's say you want to do a tour. Okay, I have this many listeners in, you know, New York and New Jersey and Connecticut. So, like, I'm going to do an East Coast tour. And I can even see, like, where in New York they are, like, what, you know, like, what part it is. Like, let's say they're in the city or they're outside. Like, that's a pretty cool thing. And just to be able to keep track of it. But I think people want to celebrate like the success that they've had, you know, and I totally feel them on that. But it does get to the point where it is another way of kind of a status symbol in a way. How many streams did you get?
Chasing again, you know, it's just another thing, man.
Yeah. I
haven't seen anybody with hundreds of thousands of streams.
Yeah.
So yeah, you dropped 30 songs and got 10K plays. Thank you, but you're barely on your way.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's nothing to brag or boast about.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like trying to shit on other artists.
Interesting. Yeah,
you know?
I could see that. I could definitely see it that way.
The competitive nature in hip hop does need to return, though. So maybe it's a good thing. Maybe people will see a rapper they don't feel is better as them with more streams and be like, you know what, I got to go harder because how he get more streams in. So maybe it will wake the community up and make everybody up their game. Interesting.
So you say the competitive nature needs to come back. I want to hear more about that. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, if you pay attention to the history of hip hop, when Lil Wayne was at the top of the game, Katrina happened, and the whole Cash Money moved to Miami. That's when they started doing this music with Akon and Khaled and Rick Ross, and they started doing these We Taking Over. It was more of like a conglomerate movement. You know what I'm saying? A collective.
Right.
And it's how they all are still sitting on the top of the game. Because they moved together, you know what I'm saying, and put themselves in a position. So then it was a new thing in hip hop where, we see that we can get way more money working together, doing these features and doing these tours. Then it became more of a friendly thing and took away the competitive nature behind it. And that's when Kendrick had dropped that verse. It was where he was, I think it was on the Big Sean song, where he was talking, he dissed everybody and was talking about bringing back that competitive nature because it does lack in hip hop. Definitely.
So, because I wonder, like, it's interesting because it is kind of like a new, it is kind of, I guess, like the collective is something that we've seen before, but like, I guess it's definitely becoming more like important in hip hop and like in music in general too, because I see it in other like facets of the music business. But the way that I always look at it is competitiveness. It doesn't, to me, I'm not sure that it's necessarily like the best environment to thrive in.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like as a creative. Yeah, because, but I do see the value in it because, yes, and also I think it depends on what motivates you. Like certain people who are motivated by competition might be losing out on not having that element because they're like, okay, well, I'm just out here, like there's nobody that I'm like holding myself to, so like why do I even have to like put that much effort into it?
Yeah.
But then like for me personally, I don't thrive on competition. I thrive on collaboration. So like when I feel like there's enough room for everybody, like when there's enough for everybody to have some, that's what gets me excited. That's what makes me want to do it. When I feel like there's only enough for some, it kind of discourages me at the worst, or also makes me want to like step back and be like, well, maybe I need to let someone go in front, you know? And so like, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, it's also probably leads into more of a political discussion too.
Yeah, well, me personally, I thrive under pressure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, make me uncomfortable makes me comfortable.
Interesting.
So I love scenarios where I'm the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
Because majority of the time I feel like I'm not the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment that you sleep on me,
yeah,
is the moment that I'm like, okay, let's get it. You know,
yeah.
It gives me that fuel, that fire.
I feel that.
So
yeah.
I love when people sleep on me and underestimate me.
Yeah.
Because that's when I truly shine and I get to show you who I really am.
Right. Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
I believe that if you had that, you would have more,
mm-hmm.
you know, diversity in the rap, and not everybody trying to sound the same and get on the same type of records and make the same type of music.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because if we're in a mindset of like we're making this together, it does get a stamp on it. It has a certain sound.
When I take his flow, or I make that same sound, or I go to that same producer that made him a hit, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's gonna look at me like, oh, you're a weirdo. You just jocking him.
Right. Interesting.
I don't know, music, man. So, who are your top influencers as far as music?
So it's kind of a little bit of a like variety because I'm a singer and a vocalist, so I can tell you the people who've influenced that. Like when I was a kid, Whitney Houston, you know, I grew up in the 90s. I grew up listening to Whitney and Mariah and Christina Aguilera. I was really influenced by her. I thought she was amazing. Also Celine Dion. I like her vocal. So like on a vocal level, absolutely, like I would say those four ladies. And then when it comes to like more the creative side, I was super influenced by Erykah Badu. Loved Erykah Badu. Everything, like as a kid, just was like listening to her albums all the time. Like just, you know, again, like growing up in the 90s. But I love her spirit, and I love not only how she is an incredible singer and songwriter, but also a true creative, and she's bringing that to change things. You know, she's here not just to have a beautiful voice and to write something that touches you, but she's also here to try to make you think about things differently, and bring, you know, awareness to things that we didn't know about. Like the album that she dropped a few years ago now where she talks about how cell phone frequencies affect bees, and now we see bees dying like all over the place, and I didn't know about that before she said that, you know. So definitely Erykah Badu. And then in terms of like the rap and the hip hop side, Outkast, and I used to live on the East Coast, so I'm definitely very influenced by like all the East Coast, Bad Boy, Biggie, all of that. I grew up listening to that too, and E40.
E40.
Yeah.
That's one of my,
he's on my top
for me,
5.
E40 kind of helped us grow up. You know,
Yeah.
It was like street instructions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The moral, the G code. You know what I'm saying? He told you the game. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like it's so many E40 records that are never been played on the radio that are hood smashes. Like, you
Yes.
turn it on, everybody knows this. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
He is prolific. Like,
Yeah.
the amount of music in his catalog, which already, like, from what we hear, is extensive, and I'm sure there's so much more that, like you say, we don't even hear.
Yeah.
And, like, he literally makes words. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he makes his own words. He has, like, his own dictionary of terms that he's created that, like, we use. And I think that's like, to me, that just sets him apart.
Yeah, my stepdad, he's from Stockton.
Okay,
so
cool.
He's from up there, so, you know, he's like, oh, Black Panther,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, rah, rah.
Yeah.
Listening to, like, Run DMC and, like, Public Enemy, Rakim,
Yeah.
all these East Coast rappers.
Yeah.
But then he'd turn around and turn on some Too Short and E40.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what I'm saying, how can you go from
Yeah.
Public Enemy to Too Short? Like, how did you
Yeah.
do that? You know?
So we need balance.
Yeah.
You can't be, I forget who was talking about this the other day, but, like, it's okay to, like, to have balance in your art. Like, it's okay to make a political statement and then make a club banger. You know what I mean? Like, we can't be 100% all the time on one thing, or else it's going to create problems for us. So, like, that's cool that he does that.
So what is the message behind your music? Like, what would you classify your sound as?
I would say my sound is what I'm trying to, a big part of who I am, I'm Aries, right? And a big part of who I am is astrology. What I really want to do is I want to reconnect people to a part of their humanity that I don't think that we focus so much on, and that is through more of, like, a spiritual and astrological take on who we are as an individual. And I like it because, just talking about, I always do bring astrology into the conversation, so I'm sorry, but I have to do it. But when we're born, the planets align uniquely for each of us. So each one of us, it's not just your sun sign, you know, I'm an Aries, but it's your moon sign, your Venus sign, the degree of the planet. It's, to me, a miracle that, like, each of us has something different. And that creates who we are as an individual. But then again, I can create community through that, because now I'm talking to all my fellow Aries, or I'm talking to my fellow fire signs, Sagittarius and Leo. And it's just, like, a great way to sort of show that we can be both a part of a community but also an individual. So that's kind of what I want to bring about in my music. I want to bring about that sense of community. I want to be a person who is a part of a community and brings together a community, and works for the community, does something good for the people that are around me. But I also want people to not lose themselves in that. And so a lot of what I bring, you know, so far, like the stuff that people have heard from me so far, it has, like, a sensuality to it. But I also try to make sure that, you know, in, like, my rap verses, you know, I try to bring about, like, imagery. I love using wordplay. You know, I love to make people think about things a little bit differently. So I think in the future, what I'm hoping to bring forth and what you could expect to see from me would be a little bit more insight into the current state of things, a little bit more insight into what I hope the future holds and, like, what I think it could. So that's kind of where I'm going with it.
For sure. So
yeah.
What future projects do you have coming up?
So right now, working on an EP for 2020. So in the studio, getting that together. I'm really excited about that, because I think, you know, I want to take this opportunity to show the things that I'm thinking about, and also, like, the different facets of me as an artist. On an EP, I think it's a good idea to show people, like, everything that you can do. So, you know, you might see a track on there that's a little bit more vocally geared and has the harmonies. Like the first song that I dropped, Bitter, I didn't rap on that one at all, but it was very, like, harmony heavy, and I did, you know, a lot of concentrated more on my vocals. And so you might see something like that, but you might see another song where, like, I'm just rapping and maybe singing the hook, or maybe I get a feature. And so I kind of want to show that diversity of who I am through that. And then just kind of doubling down on, like, the imagery of me, you know, of Aries, and what that means to me.
So I saw you perform at Common Ground.
Yeah.
What's your affiliation with Noah James?
So I met Noah actually. When did I meet Noah for the first time? Um, I think it was out in Pomona. I think it was at DBA. He did a show at DBA. And then I started talking to Lisa. So she's, they work together and she manages him and she creates like all that stuff behind the scenes for the Common Ground and everything. So I've just sort of been going out to some of those events out in Pomona, going out to the Common Ground, and then I started doing the open mics. So I think I did like maybe 2 or 3 open mics at the Common Ground, and then Noah was like, hey, we have to book you for like, like have you perform. And the last one they did, like the mixtape sets that I think they used to do back in the day, and they brought it back. So I was able to do 2 songs, which was amazing. And so I'm hoping in the future maybe come back again, do a full set.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I see you're going to be at the Soul Sesh?
Yeah.
Studio
Yeah.
F?
Yep.
Wet Paint Larry's studio?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very excited for that.
So how did you get plugged with Future Soul?
So I went out to their last show. Actually, it was I think 2 shows ago, the one that they did at Viva La Boba. So I went out to that, and then just kind of introduced myself and was able to show them what I do, because I think I want to kind of get to know people more out here in San Bernardino in this area, because I've been mostly out in Pomona. So I'm realizing like the music community out here is thriving, and there's so many people out here that I don't know. So I just kind of introduced myself, and I was like, hey, this is who I am, and if we could, maybe work together on something. And so then they booked me for this coming show. So I'm excited because there's people in the lineup that I've never met before, and I'm excited to meet the people who are going to come out to the show. I'm assuming and hoping that there's going to be like a lot of new faces there, so it's going to be cool.
That's why I started this platform, to shed light on creators out here in the Inland Empire.
Yeah.
Because there is no hub. You have to always go to LA or down Hollywood that way to get something like this. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to provide that to the community and be a staple in the community as far as the artists and the hip hop.
Which is so amazing and appreciated. Like, I think that we can all do what we're doing as artists, but if there's nobody who's documenting it or making it important or creating a platform for it, then it's just sort of like, it's cool, but like, where is it going? Who's going to hear it? Where is it going? So I think that's amazing. We don't all have to try to book it to LA every weekend, because we're building something here in the community, which is pretty cool.
Okay, so here on Politikan the podcast, we always have to touch on some political issues.
Okay.
So right now, it's been this like 9-week impeachment hearing that's just came to a close.
Mm-hmm.
And the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, went on and said they're pushing forth with the articles of impeachment.
Okay.
Which means that there were just a committee that was submitting for the upper committee to see if they're going to actually impeach him.
I see.
So,
okay.
This is the Democrats' ploy right now. The Democrats have the majority in the House, so they have the power to push forth with the impeachment. Mm-hmm. So if they do impeach him, it doesn't remove him from a job. It's like an indictment.
Oh.
So it's like we're formally saying you're being charged with this, and this. But it doesn't remove you. So the president can be impeached and still keep his job.
Right.
So even if they push forth and impeach him, in court, this evidence is not going to stand up and the charges are going to get thrown out. So you're going to basically impeach him for show, just to try to demean him again. Be right before the election. The Nixon impeachment off of Watergate, after he was spying, was like a 2-year investigation.
Yeah.
So how did y'all do this on Trump in like 18 weeks?
Yeah.
Why is this impeachment so like steadfast? Like, these Democrats, man, like, I'm a registered independent. I used to be a Democrat until Obama second term, I didn't like what he did. There's a few things that really pissed me off about what Obama did. And I thought that his second term, he was actually going to be for the people, and he was actually going to do something. You know, what I'm saying? He was the new hope. And what he did with that was be a complete puppet again. Yeah. And that turned me off the Democratic Party. And then Hillary Clinton, she just was committing all type of crimes. And she got pardoned by Obama so that she could run for president. So that was a weird thing to me. Like, how you get pardoned, you're supposed to go to jail. You get pardoned. They sealed the file and say that you can't even be charged with this. We can't even investigate it no more. Yeah. After a server was hacked over 18 times and computers taken over by the Russians. Yeah. This is fact. Yeah. But they try to turn around and say collusion with Trump that was actually debunked also. Right. So it's like in no way, shape, or form I'm a Trump supporter, but if you look at what the Democrats are doing, it's ridiculous. Like, if somebody's just completely trying to slander somebody over and over and over and over because they have no candidate to beat them.
Yeah, I definitely agree that that's their tactic. Yeah. I think that that's something that that they're doing on purpose, you know, to create a situation where, like you said, it's not going to remove him from office, and the timing is pretty, like, you know, good to be doing it now before we have this election. So I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, a lot of the time people think like the ends justify the means, and you know, they don't want him in there, and they believe that he's doing things that are damaging, and so they're going to do whatever they can to get him out. And if that's what they can do, it's kind of fair game, you know. So I could see that side to it for sure. Especially if a person is doing, you know, things that are just like crimes against humanity or things that are horrible, right? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, but like, I agree. There's a lot of corruption to go around in both of those parties, and I don't think that the Democratic Party have their hands clean in any way.
So are you Democratic?
I'm registered independent. So since I've been of voting age, so I voted in 2 elections. I voted for Obama the first time. So when his first term, that was my first time voting, which was super cool. So I've always voted Democrat, but that's not to say that I wouldn't vote a different way if I thought that there was a better candidate.
So I voted for Obama the first time. Yeah. The second time, I didn't vote for president at all. And then this last election between Hillary and Trump, I just sat it out. Yeah. I completely was like, nah, I'm just not.
I actually did too for the last one. Yeah, I did for the last one too. Yeah. It's crazy. I didn't feel as good, and I have family that if they hear this, they'll be mad at me. But I didn't feel as good about voting for Hillary as I did for Obama, because I didn't feel that she represented what I was hoping that the country would move towards, you know. So, but I sure as hell was not going to vote for Donald Trump, so I did just kind of sit it out. And I think I wanted to explore the options for some of the other candidates. And honestly, I kind of feel bad about it now, because I'm sure that I know that there was another candidate that I was interested in that was from a different party. It might have been a Green Party candidate or something like that. But unfortunately, we know that, especially in a state like ours, it's already kind of predetermined, what's going to happen. It's not like we're making a huge difference when it comes to voting for president. We're already a blue state. It's already going to have those Democrat. So me voting for somebody in the Green Party is not going to necessarily do. And I hate to say that, because if everybody feels that way, it's not going to make any change. But, you know, it's always kind of you have that feeling of well, that's not a good use of my vote, I guess. So
do you have a candidate for this 2020 election?
Yeah. So I wish that I shouldn't say I wish. My goal is to get more educated on it before it comes time to vote, because I do want to be an educated voter. And I've looked a little bit into the candidates. I know that he's not at the top of the pile when it comes to like who is like out in front, but I really like Cory Booker. He's the former mayor from Newark.
Yeah.
I'm, East Coast. My family lives on the East Coast, so I think I feel a connection because of that. But also, he did a great job there, and I think that the thing that I like the most about him is Donald Trump has created this situation in our country, this paradigm where the way that we communicate with each other is crazy. Like how the way that we speak to each other, the way that we talk about things, I feel like there's such a lack of hope for the future. And I really do think that the president has a responsibility to talk to the people in a way that can give them hope, that can unify them, bring them together, and make them think about the issues with a sense of calm. And Cory Booker, I like the way that he talks. I like the things that he's saying. So I agree with his policies, the things he's saying. I want to look more into them, but so far what I've heard, I agree with what he's saying. But beyond that, I like the way that he says it. And I think that's super important because the president is largely a figurehead. Like, we know there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that the president isn't in control of, but they are the person out there talking to the people. So I would want that person to be somebody that sounds intelligent, that sounds like they know what's going on, that sounds like a person that I could trust and like maybe follow. That's a good leader. And I found him to be the person that I thought like had those qualities the most, I guess.
Well, the front runners for the Democrats right now are Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden. I think Bernie is number 3.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people that's pro Bernie trying to give him a strong push.
Yeah.
It's back again trying to put a woman in the White House with Elizabeth Warren. And they thought that they had some firepower with Biden. But his corrupt past, not being connected to Obama, just shed light on all his business ventures with the private prisons and his offshore businesses and his son's working with Russian companies and stuff like that.
Right.
So Biden has lost favor real fast. So I don't think that he was a valuable candidate. And the whole time what threw me off about Biden was you were Obama's man. Why Obama didn't come out and endorse you?
Yeah.
He came out and pardoned and endorsed Hillary. Where's your endorsement from Obama?
This is true.
And this
It's
time,
not a good
Obama
sign.
has been completely quiet.
Yeah.
Ain't said nothing, been spotted in tabloids, nothing, no endorsement for Biden.
Yeah, that is not a good sign, considering how closely they worked together for a long time.
So that right there smoked him out.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think that if Elizabeth Warren actually does win, I don't think she's going to be able to win any states really to defeat Trump. So it's going to be like a cakewalk.
Interesting. So Bernie, you think would have the best chance of beating him?
Yes, they have to do something to push Bernie to the forefront.
Yeah.
Because he's the only chance that the Democrats have to beating him in 2020.
I'd like to see that happen because I don't want to see Trump as president any longer. I really don't. I will say there are certain things that Bernie talks about. Everything that he talks about sounds great. I wish that I knew more about the practical aspect to it and how we're going to make it happen.
It's very impractical.
That's how it sounds.
Healthcare for all was very impractical. And Obama tripled the deficit to give us Obamacare.
Yeah.
In the moment he left, they had to revise it. Now it's Trump care.
Right.
Because it was going to bankrupt the country.
Yeah.
Obama ran on it, and he had to do at least one thing he said he was going to do before he got office for 8 years.
Yeah.
And he just threw that Obamacare.
Yeah.
They shut down the government for like 40 days.
Yeah.
When he tried to push it through.
Yeah.
That's how bad they didn't want to do it. And he
Yeah.
still pushed it through and tripled the deficit so that he can save face. And then he had the audacity to give his last speech and throw his papers in the air and walk off.
I don't remember that.
That was some cocky shit.
Really? Yeah.
He was like, Obama out.
Oh.
And threw his whole papers in the air. I was like,
Damn.
man, he's a fool.
Wow.
He really tripping out here.
Wow. It's really a shame when people who are set up to make such a difference, and I'm not saying that he didn't, but like I think it's important for people to like realize what it means to be a politician. Like people, they go through so much to get to like that highest level. The people who make it to that point are not always the people who really have the people's interests at heart. Like they're more willing to like maybe push debt off into future generations or whatever it is. They're not worried about that so much because they just really want his family's going to be straight, right? Like I don't think his family probably has much to worry about. So he's cool with that maybe, and he's just trying to make sure that the party looks good or that he looks good. And yeah,
my main thing with politicians, especially black politicians, is that the white politician is for the white people. He's for the people, but he is clearly aligned with the issues for white people. The Latin politician is clearly aligned with issues for Latin people. The Asian, same process. Indian, same thing. But when the black politician gets in there, why isn't he focused on the black community? He's so busy trying to be a people pleaser and please all that he leaves his own people out. And I see that time and time again with all the black politicians. And it's like, why are we scared to be for our people? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As people, why are we... it's really frustrating for me to watch that. And then for us to get a black president and for him to not be the first president to not do nothing for black people. Even Clinton, what's Bush, Kennedy, all these other presidents did stuff specifically for the black community. Trump did these what are they called? Opportunity zones. Where this is why all this gentrification is happening, where all these low income areas are now in opportunity zones to bring in the investors and giving them a big tax break so that they can come invest in these rural areas like we are here in downtown San Bernardino and re-gentrify it or upgrade it and bring in these businesses. So this is how we're getting all this gentrification in these Fortune 500 companies moving in to these dead downtown cities because they're opportunity zones created by Trump.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is creating thousands of jobs for people in the area.
Yeah, this is true.
And this is raising the economy.
Yeah.
And people don't say nothing about that.
Right.
And we didn't get nothing like that from Obama in 8 years.
Interesting.
We got Obama phones.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that too.
We got Obama phones. That's what he did. He gave us government issue phones so that they can listen to us even more.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think it's interesting what you're saying. I feel like it seems to me, you know, obviously not being black myself, that there's more animosity towards black people when they try to do for their own community than any other group of people. We know the reasons for that, or we think we know like a lot of the reasons for that, right? So I'm not like getting to that point of like where Obama got to. I'm sure he did feel the pressure to not be that so strongly, because a lot of the time when someone is that so strongly, there's this suspicion to it and people will shut you down. And of course, like the way things are, and you know, this is changing and I'm excited to see it change more and more. There's a lack of diversity in those like upper echelon of politics to where, you know, you're going into a room full of people and you're trying to appease them. So I hear what you're saying. It's kind of like, it's like, why not? Like, why not just be for the people, like be for the people that you're supposed to be helping and trying to move this forward. But I wonder how far he would have gotten if he had committed wholeheartedly to that. And maybe like some people think, well, and I'm not saying this is right, and I hope that people don't continue to do this because I think that just kind of solidifies and condenses like white supremacist power. But people will get into this mindset where they're like, well, I have to play this game that these people have set up so that I can get to this level so that then I can make the changes that I want to make.
Yeah, but then you sacrifice who you are to get to that level.
Yeah.
So then once you get there, you're so scared of losing that power
that
you sacrifice yourself to get to that they always have you by the balls.
Yeah.
You're stuck playing this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it that show House of Cards.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I haven't watched that
because it was a pretty good
show.
They started to do like gay stuff.
Yeah.
I guard myself from taking as I'm not homophobic or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm at home in my chill area and I'm relaxed and my guard is down, I really guard my energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when they just feed me this stuff out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Out of right field. It's not like they set me up for the scene. They usually just throw it at you right in your face.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy and like real rough and like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's funny.
I don't like that feeling. So
yeah, when
it comes on, I like a little child. You know what I'm
saying? Yeah. You're like, okay.
I have to guard my face.
Yeah, that's your prerogative for sure.
So it kind of turned me off the show.
Yeah. But the political, I'd like to check it out. Like, that's definitely something. I mean, I've heard good things about it because I've heard that it actually does sort of follow like the way that things kind of are. Like it's a little true to life. It's not just
the game,
fantasy.
The manipulation that goes on behind the scenes in these rooms.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know. That's the other thing. Like we can sit here and speculate about it, but we don't really know what it actually is. And that's the thing that's unsettling. There's two ways to go about that. The one hand, you could be like, you need to be more transparent as a government. You need to show us more. Or we can look at it and say, they are never going to be transparent with us. So we need to take the power back into our own hands. And we need to just come together and kind of like recognize that it starts in our communities. Like we're not going to be able to always I don't want to be in a position where I'm always asking somebody to do something for me or like always asking somebody to relying on somebody else, like making it happen here. A lot of people are doing that and it's definitely not easy and people come in and try to mess it up when people do it. And that's like a horrible, horrible thing. But I think that is like in some ways like the best chance of making a change, because always asking somebody else to be transparent with you, be honest, or like have your best interests at heart when you don't get to be privy to the conversations they're having or like what's happening behind the scenes it's just like a little suspicious to me. I don't know. It never seems like it could work out.
Me, now that I'm a business owner and I'm in the business world, there is zero transparency.
Really?
In business.
Yeah.
Zero. That's why they tell you have to separate your feelings, friends of business.
Yeah.
Needs.
Yeah, that's
all
true.
All this stuff is reality because there is zero transparency.
Yeah.
It's always a chess move.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I always make them react to me.
Yeah.
You make a move, okay, I'm going to sit it out, I'm going to wait. You know, and then, bam, I'm going to make you react to me.
It's a game now,
because
yeah.
I can't sit back and react to you knowing that you can't be transitioned, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel it. But before we get out of here, tell the people where they can find you on the
for
internet,
sure.
social media.
Yeah.
Your
Am I looking at this camera right here? Yeah. Okay, cool. So, Aries Kae. You can find me on Instagram at aries.k. And you can find me on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, all streaming platforms. So, yep, I'm out here.
All right, man. Politikan the podcast, man. We out.